Hi, everyone. My name is Shane Evans. I'm a senior product manager at HP Software. And I'm here today to talk a bit about the enterprise. Not this enterprise, and not the beautiful little town in South Alabama, but the cold, dreary, sometimes stagnant place that we all fear. Maybe we shouldn't. The enterprise represents the largest companies in the world in the public sector, finance, insurance, healthcare. These are typically very slow-moving organizations for often very good reasons. They have all of our money. Fun fact, the SWIFT messaging system, which is used by financial institutions the world over, thousands in fact, has been in place since 1977, the year I was born. All attempts to modernize this platform have failed, which is why there's still a demand for COBOL programmers. HP knows the enterprise pretty well. This is our bread and butter. Every year we do a survey of over 1,500 enterprise customers across every different industry around the world with the help of Capgemini and Sogeti. We publish the results for free at worldqualityreport.com, and we learn a lot from these surveys. For example, QA and testing has seen a sharp increase in investment over the last 3 years, from 18% to almost 30% of the $3.6 trillion global IT spend. However, that investment isn't going into development or even tools. It's going into people, into testers, specialized testers, and business analysts. We also learned that the most often cited reason for the inability to adopt Agile and DevOps in the enterprise is a failure to test accurately and a failure to automate. In fact, the amount of testing in the enterprise that's automated is a surprisingly low 28%. And the goal over the next 2 years is to get to a mediocre 40%. If we can all agree that automation is critical for the success of Agile development, and Agile development is a precursor to implementing DevOps, then the lack of these two key ingredients is a pretty bad sign for the enterprise. Why does this matter? To you, in fact? Well, with DevOps picking up steam, we're seeing widespread adoption from the real business value that are being showed with these unicorn companies. Even some of the older, larger workhorses are getting on board, and a few of what I like to call the mules. This is where the enterprise lives. The problem here is that the innovators are moving so fast that there's a genuine risk of leaving the rest behind. No offense intended to mules or the enterprise, by the way. I chose this majestic animal to represent some of the hardest working and most important organizations in the world. We depend on these systems each and every day. So I'm sure by now all of you have seen a technology adoption curve, and I've overlaid it here with the technology hype cycle. DevOps is where you would call the chasm of early adopters today, and is expected to be commonplace in the industry in 2 to 3 years. The Internet of Things is at the peak of inflated expectations, but is also expected to be widespread in 2 to 3 years. Mostly driven by the fact that it promises to attract so much revenue. We're talking about $7 trillion to the global GDP from the Internet of Things, that is. So to me, that's starting to look like a wave that's going to crest, and that it's going to wash over the enterprise if we don't do something to help them. And if Gartner's correct, there will be an estimated 5 billion connected devices by the end of 2015. The Internet of Things is literally mobile on steroids. And if it's going to penetrate the enterprise, then DevOps is a prerequisite. So what can we do? Well, first we need to recognize that every environment is unique. What works for the unicorns of the world doesn't necessarily work for big banks. And for every enterprise, it can take years to automate enough to passively implement something as transformative as Agile or DevOps. We need to equip them with better tools that are able to do the job across all of their modern and legacy systems. Second, we need to address the legacy. The world doesn't end at the front end, unfortunately. And we can't simply build new systems of record without either integrating with or replacing or migrating from the old ones. Otherwise, we'd all be paid in Bitcoin right now. Now, in order to efficiently implement, develop, test, and deploy systems that depend on these legacy mainframes and systems, It's necessary to virtualize these components so we can understand their performance and behavior in production. And lastly, in order to really shift the enterprise world, we need to think about process scalability. Before proclaiming the next big DevOps or Agile movement, we need to think about how it will scale into the enterprise. We're 13 years in, and Agile is still considered a buzzword by many of these customers. And that's because Agile wasn't designed for the enterprise. But we need something that is. It works for Google, but what about the mules? So in summary, if you're interested in knowing how HP helps the enterprise, you can visit us online or come swing by our booth, 215. Thanks very much.